Stream is running. So we're going to make our tire today. You're going to want to make sure that you are bouncing in between the tire and the wheel because the dimensions that you use for the tire are going to directly come from the wheel. Make sense? Yes, say yeah?
Yep.
In fact, it's going to be hard to measure some of the things on the tire. Why is that?
It's a circle.
No. I mean, that does complicate things, but that's not why it's going to be really hard.
Oh, it's elastic, so like you can't get like.
It's not rigid, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to operate on some assumptions here. And one of those assumptions is that the inner diameter, we're going to say the inner diameter of this tire matches the outer diameter of the wheel. Make sense? Yes, say yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So in my wheel file, okay, I am going to consult this profile. You'll notice that I said that this outer rim has a diameter of 0.37.
Yep.
0.37. Or sorry, 37. I lied. So I'm going to make the diameter of my wheel, the inner diameter of my wheel, also 37. So I go to tire, sketch, put a sketch on the front plane, and I am now going to draw a line that represents sort of like the inner edge. Actually, I'm going to draw a rectangle. And then I'm going to draw a line from the origin up. That's vertical. This is very similar to what we did actually with the wheel. As you may recall, when we started the wheel, we kind of drew a perimeter out here. Right? I don't know if the perimeter is the right word. I kind of drew what we wanted out there. The person that I was trying to help with, was it 2 years ago? They actually wanted to print this, and we didn't have soft film at the time. But we ran into issues with an older printer where, you know, if you said, hey, this is 0.3 inches or whatever, and that's what you set the part, you put on the printer, it doesn't come out of the printer at 0.3 inches. And just to kind of prove this point, I want you to really dutifully make some measurements here. I want you to really get a good measurement of the wheel again. And then we're going to do the same with the tire. Because a person wanted to print these with like soft filament, TPU. And they want to know, should I like deliberately make it smaller because you know it'll stretch, right? And it's like, I don't really know. That might not actually work out the way you think it does, you know. So again, just for demonstration purposes, I want you to get the diameter of the wheel again. I'm getting 33.8. Okay, 33.8. Now I want you to just take your tire and just kind of set it on the table so you're not squishing it. And you're going to take the teeth and you're kind of close the teeth like this and just kind of line it up. So I think what I say for the what other one, 37.8 is what I said, I think. Maybe. I do the same thing here. It does seem a little small. It's 36. No, it's actually about the same. 36.8. So yes, it does stretch some. But you actually are not really stretching this to get around the tire that much. Okay, like barely stretching it. What keeps it on the tire is those rims. So even though it does stretch, we're going to just make it the exact same number. So, you know, here I had a center line and I had like this line right here. Okay. And this line right here. So this is the outer rim, and this is like the inside of the like, parts of the tire fit into. And this one was 37. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Let me make that a construction. Don't forget to make this a construction. So the first thing I'll do is I'll dimension it. Remember, if you move your cursor to the left side like this, if it's a construction line, it'll do this cutesy little gimmicky thing where it'll like understand you're really doing basically diameters. I'm gonna make it 37. And that'll line up right there. I'm gonna make it the same height as well. Apparently I got a height of 14.5. So I'm gonna make it have a height of 14.5. And then what's left? What do I need to dimension? So I'm gonna try and ask more questions like this. I'm not just feeding you stuff that you're actually thinking. What do I need to mention? Oh boy! I believe in you all.
The outside of this part to this part.
How thick the tire is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a recommendation on how to do that. You do you. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. But I would put the tire back on the wheel. That adds some rigidity to it, right? And then when you make the measurement, just don't squeeze in as hard as you can. Just a gentle squish. Sound good? Yeah? Get about 41 and a half. So I'll dimension out there. Now, if you want to round the edges, what would be the best way to do that? Look at the tire.
Fillet.
What?
Fillet.
Fillet. Should I do the sketch fillet or the feature fillet?
Feature fillet. Feature.
You can do either. Don't do this, just watch. But, as we talked about before, the sketch fillet, it tends to have problems. It tends to inherit scale of stuff. You may not want that. Ooh, I didn't do that. So like when I was trying that fillet, it was using like a previous number was huge. I could change it. But if I do change it, and I fill up both of these corners, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, it breaks your stuff. This time it turned out it didn't. So that worked out. But feature tends to have less issues. So I encourage you to use the feature thing. All right. This mic actually might not break it. And I put little sketch fillets. It didn't seem to break it here, so I don't know. Maybe that's the main strap. Okay, that's the tire. basically. You just line up this construction line to end at the same height as the tire. This is a formality. You click on revolve. If you do what I did, you just have a line. You click on it. I clicked on sweep. Oh, that's why I wasn't doing what I wanted. Should have a nice little ring like that. Yes, yeah. Okay, we're good?
Mm-hmm.
Question? Okay. Well, where do we go from here? Well, if you look at your tire, take it off the wheel. There's these like little like nubs. You see those?
Mm.
What do you think would be the best way to do this? Tell me.
Make one and then revolve it around.
Yeah, that definitely would be a thing to do for sure. We can go all out making one. Revolving is trivial, then requires like almost no work, no effort. So if you get one right, you're good. I would recommend, and this is why you really want to use your planes, that you draw on the plane that cuts this in half. One thing you'll see is I put my tire on top of this axis line. We see that? Yes, yeah? If I try to sketch here, let's just say, I'm trying to sketch on this front plane. There's not really any symmetry I can use there because I drew the wheel above the origin. I didn't center on the origin. Okay? If I had centered it on the origin, like if the midpoint of this was aligned with the origin, I'd been able to use some of that symmetry. So lesson learned. This will still work. This will still work. What you're going to want to do, this is just, I don't know which one I clicked on. This is just my recommendation. For what you're going to want to do you see how there's like, if you turn it inside out, there's like nubs, there's like a ridge. We see that? Yeah, we see that ridge. Okay. So what I would do is I would get a plane that cuts this in half. So I'm going to go actually, and I just should have done this the first time. I'm actually going to draw, apologies, I'm going to actually do a center point rectangle that's centered like this. Oh, sorry about that. And this, the reason why I'm doing the center point rectangle, what is it, 37? Yeah. The reason why I'm doing the center point rectangle is it'll be easier to draw those other things. I kind of forgot about that. I apologize. You and your family's up. Okay, sorry about that. If we get a centered rectangle, then we can work a lot easier. Trust. I'll give you a moment. Sorry about that. So, lesson learned. You're going to probably have this happen yourself. You'll be doing something and you was, oh, you know, if I had centered that or done it this way, it would have been a lot easier moving forward. We've been able to use that plane or axis or feature or edge or whatever real easily. Okay. I'm going to revolve this. That is my rear wheel. So I'll call this the wheel profile. I'll call this the wheel. Now, this plane that's selected in orange cuts my wheel in half. And you're going to find drawing on this plane, since it's halfway, will be a lot easier to do what we're going to do. So I'm going to draw on that plane. One thing that we talked about and I think is really useful, section views. So that plane cuts that wheel in half. You can right click on that plane. Hold on. Okay. I couldn't get the right click option to work, but I was able to add a section view.
Tab, all you need to do is just click out of the sketch and you can right click the plane.
I think mine's lagging.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but like
it worked for me. Just
here, let me turn that section view off. I don't know. The first time it was lagging, because I don't think it was lagging the second time, so I'm actually not sure. I can't.
No, just click the check mark on the sketch and then it lets you right click.
Oh, this?
Yeah. Then it lets you right click the plane.
Oh, you mean be outside? Oh, you mean not have be in within the sketch?
Yeah.
Oh, I understand. Okay, yeah. Okay. It's sort of odd though, because I can select the other planes from that. So you can right click here actually on this in the table of contents, which I initially did and it wasn't showing up, but I guess it's because it's an active sketch. You can click section view, or you can right click on it here. If you lose track of your section views, you can always click on the view and render cube here, and there is a turn off section view. You see that? Yes, yeah. You turn it off, even if you forgot what plane it was on. You can also go there and turn it back on, section view. It'll prompt you if you haven't ever done one. What we're going to do is we're going to basically make one nub. It's going to be very ballparky. We're going to make one nub here. Now, you can do this a million different ways. I'm going to use arcs, okay? So on this sketch, I'm going to do the center point arc. I'm going to start at the center of the circle, the wheel, tire. If you can't select something, you may need to project it into the sketch. Like it's not automatically letting me snap to this edge. But if I go to use project convert, I click on the internet edge. And it does project it. Or not. This is not letting me do this. Well, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. I'll just have to measure it manually. So I'm going to do a center point arc. I'm deliberately doing this wrong just to kind of show you demonstration purposes, but I have a quote unquote inner one. Quote unquote outer one. See, he's getting this loading thing. That's not a good sign. So right here, it seems to suggest the difference in diameter between this here and the actual edge of the drink or sorry, the tire or whatever, would be 37 minus 34, which is 3 divided by 2, because these are diameters. So the width of this is like 1.5. Again, how did I do that? 37 minus 34 is 3, and then divided by 2, because these are diameters, right? So there's half on each side. So this gap is like 1.5. So if I recall, the tire comes to 37. So I'll do a radius of this one, 37/2. And you'll notice it lines up there. I wonder if a coincident constraint will work. Oh yeah, it doesn't allow me to do a coincident constraint. Okay, there. That's kind of what I wanted. I don't know why I wasn't able to snap to or project to it, but I am able to do a coincident constraint, which just forces things to touch or be on top of each other. And I was able to do a coincident constraint, this outer arc and this circle. And you can see, if you look, I've got it selected, you see the orange. So the arc is there. I don't have to dimension it then, that's good. This one, on the other hand, is 1.5 gap right here. We measured that out. We talked about that math earlier. So one way you can measure it is you can just click on it and then click on an adjacent circle, and it'll tell you like the gap between the two. I'm going to draw a line here to here. Draw another line here to here. I'm going to kind of manually fudge things around a bit. Really make sure you don't accidentally get constraints you don't want. Like I accidentally had a vertical constraint I did not want. So I clicked on it and deleted it. There's a show constraints option that you can toggle on and off in every sketch. Sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not, but it's an option. How do we dimension this? Well, you kind of have to just do your best there. So we got that height of 1.5. We kind of ballpark that. How do you get the thickness of a trapezoid, though? Maybe 3.5.
I think it's closer to like 3.
I know trying to measure it when it's like this is trickier. And I do think it changes it a little bit too. I definitely think the top is definitely smaller. Probably closer to 3. I'm going to go with 3. So I'm going to dimension from this point to this point. And to make these kind of line up, I'm going to do an equal constraint on them. So they're symmetric. Now, you could make those perfectly vertical if you wanted to. I'm actually going to have them point towards the center. So how am I going to do that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from that vertex to the center. I'm going to draw a different line from that vertex to the center. I'm going to make these construction lines. The use project convert button. Project construction. I meant to use construction. Sorry. Construction. There we go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this little thing parallel to this. Now I pretty much have locked the shape in. I just haven't actually locked in position. One thing you'd probably be able to do, if you use the point tool, You just get really close. Yep. I don't know if you can see it up there, but there's an orange square. It's actually let me snap to the midpoint of the arc, which is very convenient. Again, this is the point tool where you just place points. So I'm snapping to the very closest that I can. And you can see it's still not symmetrical. And if I move it even more, that's where you definitely can see it's messed up. But if I align that point with a vertical constraint, so this is the center of the arc, and I align it to be vertically aligned with the origin, now everything is black. And that nub is ready to go. Your questions, maybe, possibly? No? You can extrude that. What type of extrusion are we going to want to use? Yeah, you want to use symmetric. And it does not go the full width of the tire. One could probably conclude that's the only one. So that's probably closest 10.5. Because that's the width of the cavity it's got to fit in. So I'm just going to use that. I'm going to turn the section view off. And I got one. Now, circular pattern. Let me call this, I don't know, bump. Sure. We're going to do the circular pattern. Circular pattern. What's the first thing I need to do? About the pattern sign, what's the first thing I need to click?
Oh, feature pattern.
Yeah. So if on the part pattern, I'm not going to be like anything. It's not going to work. Change this to feature pattern. I like to click on the features over here. Active is going to be anything circular. How many of them do I want? Well, count them up. I'm getting 17. Does that sound right? Remember nubs? Does that sound right? I'm not getting a distance of 17. It's asking you just tell it how many you want. Kind of does all the math for you. That's all for today.